Actually, what I'm going to speak about is titled Ease into Automation. This is an impromptu speech. And I spoke 2 weeks ago when the speaker didn't show up, and I gave the speech that I had planned to give today. And so I had mistakenly assumed that that I got swapped, and then so I sat here racking my brain. I have a small firm, IEMOsoft. I'm an independent consultant, and I've been doing it for about 3 years. And I've always been thinking about how can I differentiate, right? And I don't know how many know Scott Davis. He's a very well-respected consultant in the Twin Cities, entrepreneur. And I remember him talking about he differentiated himself. One of the things, he always wore a tie. Like even at home, when he works at home, he's got a tie. Like I've never ever, in all the years I've known him, I've never seen him not wearing a tie. And he'd also bring pies to his clients from time to time. And he was known, hey, that pie guy. You guys know, yeah, that's pie guy, right? So different ways to differentiate yourself. Thought, well, none of those really got it fired up. And I started thinking, about 15 years ago, I worked for ADP, the payroll folks, and they had a small division where they worked with auto repair, auto salvage, auto body repair, insurance companies. And I was put in charge of this project. They said, we want you to manage this. We still want you to code. We want you to manage this project. You can hire your own folks and put this team together and get this project. And so many of you might know John Nelson. He was a QA engineer in Twin Cities. He was one of the guys I hired, became one of my best friends. I also hired Tony Bierstedt, one of our members here. And Johnny, he's a QA expert. And after the months went by, he kept singing Tony's praises. He would never stop talking about what a great developer Tony is, how he was head and shoulders above every developer he's worked with, not just on our team, but his previous companies. Tony was the guy. And I said, what is this? After a while, my feelings started getting a little hurt. Hey, what am I? This is a pretty good team. I'm pretty happy. What is it about Tony? He's like, Tony's stuff just works. The rest of you developers, write your code. You create this little test harness with a form, with a little button on it. You click the button, you call one method, it passes. You chuck it over to QA and say, yeah, it works. And we break it like that, and we throw it back over the wall. And we just keep doing this process. You just chuck your code over the wall, and we test it, and we throw it back. Like, did you even test this thing? He goes, but that's not, this is the norm. Back in those days, it was the norm, because we didn't have really testing things. You could literally create a little form, like a DB or something, put a button on it, have that button go call some chunk of code. This wasn't a very good test harness at all. There was no test automation. There was no checking anything in that would run all your tests like there is today. And so I went to Tony. I said, hey, Tony, what are you doing? He goes, oh, now remember, this was many years ago. He said, oh, there's this great new product in testing. Test client. I said, what's a testing client? What is this? So he gave me a demo. This is pretty cool. Now, this was before TDD and all that stuff. This was in the very beginning, right? So I said, okay, would you give a demo to our team? We started using this. Well, I always thought this would bring the audience. Testing your stuff is good, right? And as time went by, I started noticing to really get good test coverage, for every 100 lines of actual production code, I might have 300 lines worth of tests. And I started thinking about, if you really look at code coverage, if you go back and you look at test coverage where it's low, like it's below 50%, you're going to see maybe there's less lines of test code than there is production code. But if you start getting above into that 80 percentile of test coverage, you're going to have a lot more test code than you are actual production code. Now this turns a lot of people off. In fact, I just had a conversation with one of our members here who's doing some management, and I said, well, what are you doing for test automation? He said, I'm not convinced that's the way to go. And that's surprising to me anyway. It's not that uncommon, especially with managers. They look at that and they're like, we got like real production code, we got time, we got to get this thing out, we got a deadline. And to really get 100% code coverage, we're going to basically double our schedule. And I can see how that would turn some people off. So I had this idea, now what if we could ease into automation? Like, not just unit testing, but actual UI automation, tools like Selenium. Now, there are a few managers, and I would estimate less than 30% that see the value in this. And then there are a lot of managers who look at this and say, you know, I just don't see the return on investment. You know, how can I try test automation and ease into it and evaluate its value without committing a huge amount of my budget, without hiring a full-time resource, getting them trained up? So one thought that I had was, what if Emosoft, our specialty was ease and automation? What if we come in, say anywhere from 5 hours a week to 20 hours a week to 40 hours a week, whatever you decide, we'll come in and we'll get some test automation. We'll look at the most obvious test cases, some smoke tests. We'll write your test automation for you. If you see the value, we'll continue. And after, let's plan on like a 3 to 8 week project. At the end of that period, we evaluate it. Should we keep going? And if you say, hey, I just really see the value in this, I'd like to bring this in-house, we'll do knowledge transfer. We'll train your people. You can hire your full-time resource, bring them in, we'll teach them, okay, here's our framework, here's how we do things. Here are some of the, so I've taken some of the tools with Office and Windows GDI and Selenium, and I put together sort of a testing framework for Emosoft where we'll actually write your test cases as we run the test. So that the software will write your test case, and it'll take screen captures of the test as it's executing. So we'll come in and we'll train your folks, and we'll hand that knowledge transfer off to you, or we can continue to support you. So this is my 5 to 7 minute elevator pitch for my new direction that I'm taking my firm. And if your company needs any test automation, or you know of a company that's looking for some test automation and would like to try something like this, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.